the sweet spot. I'm rocking with Sweetest, being joined by Type 1 Warrior, Ray. I know how to say your last name. Switek?
Switek, yes.
Okay, I guess I know how to say it. You know, give my English class teachers a little more credit than they deserve. Not as much credit as Guns gives his teachers. But hey, man, how you doing?
Not bad at all.
Hard life being the champ, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's so difficult.
Has to be a little intimidating being inside that household, man. I saw what happened last CSW.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next subject.
What is you? Are they? Oh Lord, I'm just saying, man. That was yeah. I don't know how I can handle it myself personally. I mean, Marlon is an intimidating force, let alone having to deal with that, intimidation.
A force of nature.
Oh yeah, totally, man. It's crazy, but you're kind of an interesting force yourself. You deal with type 1 diabetes, which a lot of people would use as an excuse to not fulfill their dreams. And you're out here, man, doing it all. You're CSW champion, and you've only been in this game for a short time.
Yeah, so, coming up close to 3 years now.
Yeah, that's God, like I said, CSW champ. What where did you find that drive? I mean, dealing with diabetes. I mean, it's a pretty intense situation.
Well, I guess my family is just genetically born missing the give up gene. But at 14, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which was technically a little late.
A lot late. It's either really young or really, really late. That's crazy.
Yeah. And when I got diagnosed, I was I didn't believe that I had any shot at becoming a wrestler at that point in time. And then in 2018, I discovered Kyle O'Reilly and the fact that he's a type 1 diabetic.
What? No way.
Yes.
Was that Kyle O'Reilly is diabetic? I had no idea.
Yep. He is probably the most mainstream type 1 diabetic professional wrestler to date.
Yeah, no, for sure. I didn't. And again, I didn't. He's such a high level wrestler, and he's does things he's legitly one of the best. I would have never guessed. That's insane, man.
Yeah. But whenever I discovered that, I figured, screw it. If he can do it, I can. And at 17, I started training with Jimbo Lucas at the Empower Pro Wrestling Training Facility.
How'd you get linked up with Jimbo? Who going that way?
I'm not gonna lie to you here. I was scrolling on TikTok and saw Colorado Springs Wrestling posted under Jimbo Lucas's page, and I just reached out.
Damn, was that your first initial because for me, I didn't find out that we had a wrestling scene here in Colorado until really late, until about 3-4 years ago. Was it similar for you? You'd found that post? Wait, we have wrestling here?
I didn't know that there was a wrestling scene until I saw that, and then I was in the bathroom at the Corner Pocket, unfortunately closed down, but saw a poster for Rudapalooza 2 in the bathroom. And I was like, that looks like a wrestling poster. And just picked the scab and went as far as I could with it.
That's cool, man. I know that with CSW, it's such an interesting company. They've gone under 2 different ownerships, right? Or did it go from Chris to an in between someone else and then to Randy?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it went from Chris straight to Randy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But it is an interesting company, seeing how it grew, man. And it's such a staple now in Colorado, and your growth within that company is something that I think was very unique. You had all the fans completely behind you.
I did.
It's a wild, wild moment when you make your entrance. You and Panda, it's very unique for people that young and early in this business to have such a pop, man. What's that like going out there? You know?
I almost try to zone out a little bit whenever going out there because my inner child comes out
Really?
of you're doing this. Wow. But I can't show that on the stage. I
Yeah.
can't be the giddy 5-year-old inside of me that's really happy about this. I have to put on my game face to make sure that everything goes according to plan in the ring.
Yeah, you guys have done pretty well. Carnival was a fun one. You were
Oh
able
yeah.
to break out a little bit, you know, and have some fun in that situation. Not having to stay, you know, as so in character and be so serious during a moment. What's that like, you know, for a younger wrestler like yourself? Like you said, you get to kind of be that 5-year-old in that moment.
Oh, Carnival playing Spike Dudley was probably the highlight of, well, not the highlight, the
I was gonna
second
say,
the
hey now.
second highlight of my evening. Being able to go out there and hang out with some of the boys that more times than not we're not friends, but we can set it aside to have a little fun here and there.
Yeah, Carnival's a fun time of year. I think wrestling needs a lot more moments like that where the guys can kind of break away from things. But I also understand the character development side and, you know, having to like stay in character. If you're trying to be in the E or AEW or even Impact TNA now, then
Yeah.
you gotta. Where are your goals as far as that, man? Do you have like a specific? Because I mean, as kids, you know, we all like talk about I want to be champ here. You always want to be in the E. Was it with AEW popping up now? Is that kind of your goal?
The goal at the end of the day, I don't care about winning titles. I don't care about winning at big events. I
Yeah.
want to be able to retire and have people still talk about my legacy. Somebody like
Oh yeah.
Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels has been retired. We're going to forget about 2019. Shawn Michaels has been retired since like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And people still talk about dream matches to this day that
Yeah.
won't ever be able to happen. But whenever you think about it, it's still something that you're like, man, what if? Like, what if AJ Styles got to fight Shawn Michaels? Like,
Yeah.
it's a big thing, and I want to be able to have that legacy of my own. So if I don't win any big titles, if I don't win at any big pay-per-views or premium live events, but I can leave at the end of the day still having that legacy, I'll feel fulfilled with myself.
Yeah, man. I think it's a good goal to have. I mean, obviously, I think deep down inside, everyone, you know, isn't going to be upset if WWE or AEW pushes them to a title opportunity. But gosh, just being able to hone your craft on that stage and like perform on that level has to be such an amazing feeling.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, yeah, a lot of people, and I think I don't go along saying this. Everyone really says that you have a major shot at this and you're really good at this. Uh, and that goes to show with a company like CSW putting the World Heavyweight Championship on you. Let's talk about the journey to that title, man, because it was a long one.
It
You,
really was.
you
And
got beat up quite a bit there. You know what I'm saying?
there's a few people that I'm not going to mention by name.
Yeah.
You can guess who I'm talking about. The audience can also guess who I'm talking about. But while he is not the most liked person around here, I do have to give him credit for at least giving me that worm on a hook, because not many people know this. My first storyline was actually originally Roland Doobie's storyline with JT Staten. But Slave to the Death match happened about 2 weeks before that show, and Rowan Doobie got hurt.
Mm.
So, where there's opportunity, I was somewhat handpicked out of one of the three new guys that was coming up at that time because I was the only one that fit the idea of that role. There was me, obviously Plex, and Jack Dillon. All three of us started training the same month, and we were all there. And for that storyline, he obviously saw that I was the one to be able to properly fulfill that slot. So, like I said, he might not be the most liked person, but I have to give the devil his due, and give him credit for that.
Yeah, I have it's a weird situation with them, you know. I mean, obviously they ran themselves out of town, but I'll be the first one to admit it, and I've said this multiple times. They when they were sober and they were dedicated to their goals and not dedicated to a substance, they were one of the best that we had in Colorado. Mindset, teaching. I remember going back to the Gabe Sapolsky seminar. They were a standout, you know. I mean, and I, like you said, I'll give them their credit where it's due, facts. But you know, I mean, they kind of ran themselves out. But again, they were amazingly talented, and it's sad to see them throw it all away like that. You know, who knows what the future holds in that scenario. But man, you got a bright one. Okay, so uh out of the three, you get chosen. You start your path, your journey. When did you and Randy sit down, or you know, was it kind of just one of those surprise moments where you found out when you got there? But when did you find out you were getting that belt?
Probably 3 months before the actual event. So I first found out right before the first show where we started building that storyline.
Okay.
And
with Provider and the Cult.
Oh yeah, I'm hands down, in my opinion, probably one of the best storylines to come out of CSW in a hot minute.
Yeah, that was fun.
And obviously, that sounds egotistical because I'm part of it, but it involved more nuance than most indie companies will ever willingly risk.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember what Provider was mailing in promos, but you know, it was such a, like you said, it was intricate. There was weight to it. It carried over to other places, and then you know, Provider is such a good promo too. So you had a lot to work with that he was willing to give back. And then you know, I mean, he's one of the vets here in Colorado, so him giving back to someone as young as you are and seeing that talent, that had to be a pretty cool feeling. And what's it like working with Provider?
He obviously, we're all supposed to hate Provider, but he, inside and out of the ring, is probably one of the most helpful people that I have met throughout my entire journey. I have not spoken to anybody that's quite like him. I've not worked with anybody that's quite like him, where no matter what, we get the right result, even if we had to take a few extra steps to get there.
Yeah. Super passionate. I've seen him take a few people to like crazy matches where you're just like, dude, that was a spectacle to see unfold, man. And he's legitimately good. Like he's one of the few that, as far as a trainer, he trains all the right stuff, like all the little things, and you know, gets everybody really ring ready. It's pretty cool. It's cool to see this young talent, like the youth, coming up now in Colorado. Like I said, I've only been a part of this for like 3 or 4 years, but in those 3 years, I've seen a changing of the guard, and it's way crazy. Just the rosters that we were bringing in 3 years ago aren't the same locker rooms that we have now. We have a lot of really young talent in those locker rooms, man. What are your thoughts on like Colorado then versus now? Because it is a major change.
I I both love, and it's a love-hate relationship with the growth of the scene, because I love being here. I love working every company that's in the state. But at the end of the day, the more companies there are, the more of a black hole the state becomes. So while Colorado is an amazing state to start off in, you have to continue taking those steps to work out of state and go to tryouts and do things like that, because very, very rarely are scouts coming to these black hole states to recruit, because there's so much talent here that it's hard for them to pick from. But if they can go to Kansas and see somebody that's been working Kansas, Ohio, Colorado, California, Washington State, and they're working everywhere, then that gives them more of an incentive to be like, hey, that guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, Big Guns talks a lot about that same thing. Colorado's a great state, and if you want to be a weekend warrior and you want, your goal is set here, like this is where you want to be, fine. It's awesome. But if your goals are beyond Colorado, there's a few guys. I'm not gonna name drop a ton, but there's a few guys out there that are reaching for the brass ring. God, the brass anyway. But they're going above and beyond what they need to be than your average guy to get bookings, to really, I guess, just get putting bookings. But man, they're doing everything within their power to succeed. Versus a lot of times, and I've heard it a lot. A lot of people just like feel main event ready, but they're the furthest thing from. So that all that travel, seeing all the different styles across the states, getting in the ring with all these different individuals, you're going to learn a whole lot of different styles. You're going to see all the different techniques, all the different trainers teach all these different people, because there's a million different ways. I mean, I remember Justin Kyle one time told one of my buddies, he was doing a seminar. He's like, have you learned to run the ropes yet? And my buddy was like, yeah. And he's like, well, I'm not going to teach you shit about that, because other trainers have different steps and different pacing. He's like, just keep what they've taught you, and then I'll work around it. So it's crazy to see the different growth that you can get if you just stepped outside the state, man. Have you put in any applications and stuff for WWE or doing ring extra work?
I've put in a bunch of stuff that I have tried. And I've emailed everyone I can, and I know that it's not a like first shot and that's it.
Yeah, no.
And you're done. They looked at that one and that's it. It takes more than one go at it, but I understand that if you just flood them with an email every day, it could be a new composed email every day for 365 days a year, and you're going to get nothing back that way as well.
Yeah, it's a fine line that you got to navigate, but there's ways to do it. And Gino Rivera, man, I'm sure you've heard of him, but that guy is on so much WWE television, has so many opportunities. Some people hate him, but goddamn if he isn't doing it the right way,
He's a phenomenal worker and has great charisma in its promos, ring work, his ability to not only just do the moves in the ring, but properly show and tell, rather than like, oh, I am good at technical wrestling, or oh, I am good at high fly wrestling. He knows how to create the story with it.
Yeah. He also stays in ring shape too. I know that that's obviously as a wrestler. I mean, that's a must, but like he really does stay in like really good shape to
Oh yeah.
like if WWE needs somebody to be in that ring, easy call, So that's definitely a path that I think that you should find yourself on because man, the sky's the limit for you, dude. I think a lot of people here in Colorado are rooting for you. You know that though. And you're loved. Every time you walk into a locker room, everyone's like, "Oh, we love you." So it's good times, dude. I mean, me and you bonded over, e-feds and
Oh yeah.
the created wrestler side of things. How old were you when you started all that cost stuff, man?
Oh, in 2K leagues and all that.
Yeah.
God, it was 2016. So I had to be 13 or 14.
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, it was all when I was doing it, it was all like forum based, text based. You were in a different era where like you guys had the smartphones. Guys were able to cut like video promos in
Oh yeah.
character.
We had the Discord and the Xbox parties, and it'd be like, okay, you got like 10 minutes to cut your promo on this guy. Go.
That's interesting. Was it like a live on the spot type of thing?
There,
Or did you like
because
send
they
in a
were
tape?
true competitive leagues, there weren't a lot of people that were willing to shit talk because there weren't a lot of people that were able to back it up with their gameplay.
Oh, because you were actually playing your character. It wasn't like CPU simulation.
Yeah. So there was the fine line of being good at the game or being able to cut a promo, and there were only a few people that could do both. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I was good at the promo. We'll just end it at that.
It's all right. I'm gonna let Marlon know your weakness. Like, hey, challenge him in 2K. You got this. Easy fucking work. Get that the women's chop combo going, bro. It's unstoppable. You even can't miss it. What was your character during those times? Created wrestler. Because kids were always like looking towards the future. So
I had a few different characters, but for all but like the final few games, it was very generic, like shield gear, nothing unique about him, very generic move set. Like there was no character behind it at all. It was like, that looks cool. We're done.
Yeah. Oh man, created wrestlers. That was a good era. I know that 2K now is still like doing really like intense creations. You can upload your own images now. Really.
Oh yeah.
Back then it was rough,
You had your 5 presets.
Yeah, and it was like I felt like we lost tattoos as time went on. Things like would just disappear slowly. We'd have like 100 tattoos, and they'd go down to like 70. And that eventually went down to like 45, and it was like really terrible tattoos that no one in their life's gonna get. Like what is this?
Oh yeah, the like 4 solid black lines.
Oh man, the look like pills. The little dude, like what is for what? Like what am I? But then you see people that take that stuff and they're insanely creative and they make full sleeves. They have like these really intricate tattoos. Like I don't have the time for that, man. I was always just uploading my own bullshit. As soon as that happened, that was kind of my path. The whole e-fedding thing. I know that you and Jalen kind of run, you guys do run the TikTok title. Is that something that you guys had thought of during the e-fed times? Or is that spawned
back? So back about a year ago now, when like Jalen, Niles, Hussey, all of them joined up at Empire. Actually, no, about a year and a half ago now. When they all joined up, me and Jalen, really, there's not a lot of people I don't click with, but me and Jalen clicked with on that creative side. And both of us having our own completely independent experiences of online feds. We
Oh, really? Wait, well, hold on. So, did you and Jalen meet at Empower?
yes.
Oh, the your guys' friendship. It seems like you guys were friends throughout school, and then you both found this. That's crazy. You guys are super close. Continue your story.
Um but with both of our independent EFED uh, histories that we've had, we both have come up with the idea like, oh man, a 24/7 belt was so fun whenever we did it in our EFED.
Yeah.
What if we do that for real? And we can get some of the boys at the training, or boys and girls at training, some promo work and some skit work. So we came up with the idea of the TikTok title. I will not say it was not a 50-50. It was like 20 on my end, 80 on his end, the idea. But with all of that and how it turned out, and the still longest reigning TikTok champion, Manny Lemons, it became a belt where like some names were interested in it, out of state guys are interested in it, in state guys are interested in it, just because it's different. Not a lot of states have their own like 24/7 title that goes throughout the entire state.
Yeah.
And with the fact that the belt is technically independent, it can show up at CWC, it could show up at Primos, CSW. If Rocky Mountain Pro would ever let it, it could show up there. Like, it doesn't have restrictions. And that's what I think that's what a lot of people find interesting about it, because they could have these funny haha moments that their characters normally would never be able to have.
Yeah, it's pretty. I know that. I mean, it spawned another. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the TikTok title is the reason that we have an Intercontinental title, right?
It is,
Okay.
but the brainchild behind that is Skylar Ashwood.
Yes, but the TikTok title was the inspiration for that, right?
It was.
Yeah, so like it's a unique platform that gives pretty much anyone on the roster the ability to kind of like have that like, look, I'm a champ moment. And it's like you said, it's no different than what the hardcore title was during WWE with Crash Holly and all them running around, everyone switching hands. It's more about the fun.
It's purely meant to help some of the guys who might not be 100% ring ready get wet feet with singles matches or like 4-ways, because that was one of the things me and Jalen noticed, that like a lot of people's first 8 to 10 matches or battle royals, these big tag team matches where you don't get to figure out the psychology of a singles match, where with the TikTok title, you might not feel ready, you might not even be ready for a singles match, but you get to test the waters with it and see how you feel with it, instead of your debut being in the sub-main event of your first ever singles match and you're fighting some guy that you met 20 minutes ago. And don't get me wrong, he'll keep you safe and everything will look good, but it gets rid of a lot of the nerves for some of the newer people.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting formula. It definitely it helps mindsets for sure. I've noticed it in a few people. The Carney specifically, one of them. You know, like that's something that they'll cherish. You know, it's cool. It's it's a big thing for a lot of people. You mentioned 24/7 titles on eFeds. How does that even work on an eFed?
So you
had kick it in your bedroom door, like cut a promo on you, and then like throw a controller in your lap, and say, "Let's do this, fool."
No, when you were the champion, you had to appear online at all times. And if you were invited to a 2K lobby, you had to
Oh
join.
no,
You had to
that's
join.
rough.
So if it was 2 a.m. and you were dead asleep and you heard that ping notification and oh, you're 90% asleep, but it's 2K invite, you gotta get up and defend. And that was the base idea that I had to go with the TikTok title.
That is dedication. If anyone is actually waking up 2 a.m. because they heard a notification on their Xbox, bro, the amount of times they're like, "Oh, bruh, my notification sound broke. Oops." Yeah, I would never be defending that title. I would just. Can you run? Do you have the ability to run like Crash?
You can I had 110 different rules for that belt. It was like every week I would change something just so that nobody could get the hang of it. I wanted it to always be like, well, 4 people have held it today. Let's see if we can
Oh,
break the record of 7.
that's fucked up. Oh man, what was the name of your character back then? Or anything?
It it started as just simply like Raymond. Um, and then I was scrolling through names, the like 2K names that the people already have set, where it's like CM Punk. Um, and I was scrolling through that stuff, and I found the name Wesley, and then I found the name Parker. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
that's unique. I haven't heard somebody with that kind of name in any of the E-Feds I've played. I'll steal that name. And now I've got that name in my back pocket in case I want to do something with it, just because it's an interesting name to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to have like an idea of your future, especially with wrestling. It's kind of something that you sit around and I don't know how many road trips you've had. I know that you went to Canada, so that was a long one. You had plenty of time to think on that one.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
am sitting on 3 total out of state uh, trips. One of them up to Canada. Um, the other one was out to Arizona and then out to Utah. To
okay.
Arizona, it was High Impact Wrestling, smaller indie company out there, but everybody I met out there was real cool, real
Yeah.
fun. And then obviously out in Utah, me and Niles got to tag team for Devotion Championship Wrestling, and
Oh, really?
that was an experience.
Was that the show that Eric Bischoff was there?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. We were at their standard venue, and it was Blood Sugar versus. I don't want to mess up either of their names. The psych ward patient and the psych ward doctor, but I don't remember their gimmick names off of the top of my head. And that was a fun match, top to bottom. Um, Me and Niles got to do a lot more of our tag team wrestling without having to worry about a lot of character work because these were people who didn't see our history, so we could
Yeah.
be friendly immediately off the bat and have fun with it rather than adding in that character element, which isn't bad to add in that character element. It's more fun whenever you get to just go out there and tag with your friends.
Yeah. It's a lot of the greatest matches are between two buddies. I mean, obviously, you could say the same thing about two people that hate each other. Look at Brett and Sean, but I mean, seeing you and Niles work has always been fun. What was the Canada trip like? Because that was more like a tour. That was like multiple shows,
That
right?
was, I want to say, one of the days got canceled, so that got funky for us. But it was 3 days back to back to back. And they had a really unique ring where it could break down to be very small and fit in this really small trailer. And it was fun from top to bottom the whole 3 nights. The first night was a little interesting. I had the heel Type 1 warrior up in Canada.
That's a
Because
thing? That's not a thing. You're lying right now. That's a
they
lie. I'm going to tell Marlon to come get your ass because you're lying.
they had the champion, and it was TJ Fury, or TJ Fury or TJ Punk. I don't want to mess this up now. If I'm gonna shout somebody out, I wanna do it correctly. Him and Bobby
Right.
TJ Cannon is his name. TJ Cannon, really cool guy. All the guys up in Canada, real cool cats. And that first night, both of them were face in that town. One of them, he wasn't supposed to be a face in that town, but that was like their third time going to that town, and he just kept on getting cheered. They had to alter some storylines, and I got put into the main event. So I had to heal it up. I had to channel my inner Niles. That was fun. The second night, I got to fight one of the newer trainees up there. Had a real fun match. Ended with him going over on me. And I'll say this time and time again, I don't really care about winning. I don't care about losing, as long as a story is being told. It can even be a one-show story. Like, I don't have any preferences on that. I know there's some people who care about their win-loss records, and that baffles me. And then the third night, I actually got to work double duty. I was in a dance-off at the beginning of the night, and then at the end of the night, got to fight the champion in a one-on-one match for the title.
How'd that dance-off go? Wait, you were in a dance-off? Oh, boy.
Yes, I was in a dance-off with Mustachio. Canada was a whole different world up there. It was like wrestling had reverted back to the 80s, and it was all territorial, and all the gimmicks were super gimmicky. And it's nothing against any gimmicks like that. I love gimmicks like that. But like everybody was over with their really gimmicky gimmicks, and like
that's cool.
You would throw a super kick and it would get a pop as if Shawn Michaels was throwing a super kick. So these people weren't like overexposed to indie wrestling like how people are in America, where you can hit 5 Canadian destroyers, 100 light tubes, pile driver after pile driver, and everybody's like, oh man, Meltzer would only rate it like 4 stars, boring.
I mean, I'm saying, bro, it's ridiculous.
So being able to go up there and have more fresh and more like excited eyes for lesser things was very fun. It was very fun.
Canada loves their wrestling, man, and that's like something. I have a buddy that, well, actually, this is going to be even a crazier story because growing up, I did the e-fetting stuff, and it created friends of mine globally.
Yeah,
I have friends throughout the world. 2 specifically Canadian, one Mikey Truth, and the other one, his name is Mark Merrick. You might know him, Graham Keem. We actually used to e-fed back in the day on a website called the Empire Mall. A crazy story that I didn't know. It's not like I knew he was the owner of Primo's, and then it was like, hey man, we're crazy. We found out at PHNW. Like that day, I messaged my buddy. I was like, yo, this dude from Canada, you got to go check him out. Mikey Truth, he's a good friend of mine. You got to go check him out. He runs Primo's North. His name's Graham Keem. And he's like, wait, what? He's like, was it Primos? Does he own a toy store? And I was like, yeah. He's like, dog, that's fucking Mark Merrick. Used to wrestle him all the time in SPW. So it's really, really crazy to think that Primos is connected to them, and then we're all, all of us are doing the same. I'm sure there's going to be moments where you're going to run into people. You're like, dude, we used to do 2K together back then. What is going on here? And you're going to run. It's wild how small this world can get within the wrestling community.
Yeah.
But let's finish this off here, man. With we didn't really get to finish the story because I have ADHD, and you said a few things that I saw a squirrel and I chased that fucker down. So let's finish this that CSW title run, man. You won that belt. You finally get to the point where you win it. What was that moment? The moment where you finally get the belt? Because let's be honest, CSW's championship is pretty prestigious within Colorado. It's something that means something within the Colorado scene. So to get that, it had to have been a huge accomplishment. A nice feather in the cap. What was that like?
Being able to sit there and realize that a company had full trust in me, even if it was only for 5 minutes, had full trust in me to be the face of the company. It was almost surreal. A lot of people will talk about their experiences of like, oh, I didn't hear a single thing. I zoned out, tunnel vision. I knew where I was. I could hear everyone, but my mind was still 100 miles an hour. And it didn't matter that I knew what was going to happen before then. It didn't matter that I knew what was going to happen 5 days, weeks, months before that. Still sitting in that ring with that belt the very first time was just a surreal moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that will never be able to experience that moment, even on an independent level, so being able to reel in one of the bigger fishes here with Colorado scene, that's awesome, man. Like I said, a lot of us root you on. There's a lot of us that are in your corner because we all see that talent. We all see the dedication, you got a pretty rough injury and you're back like it was almost like it didn't affect you. Like, you're back stronger and better than ever. So I appreciate.
I never try to put blame on that injury. I will always state, like, I have no hard feelings towards Hunter Gray. I have no hard feelings towards Creative. It was a last-minute decision. We had very little time to talk. I was very green, very not used to saying no to somebody. Yeah. So just it was perfect catastrophic event. There was everything fell together just wrong enough.
It's a perfect storm, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, if anything, dude, you're here now. You showed your worth, overcame, and dude, sky's the gosh dang limit. Is there anyone you want to shout out before you get out of here? Do you got any social medias that you want to let anybody at home? Because we are a sports network. We're not just a wrestling network. So it's going to be a lot of different eyes.
I'm going to shout out the TikTok World Title on TikTok. That's the name of it, TikTok World Title. That is where we're the most up to date with the TikTok Championship. There is Media Meltdown _22. That name is going to need to change in the nearby future, but as of right now, it's Media Meltdown _22, as well as Type 1 Warrior _official, and Ray Switek on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody loves Raymond, man, and I'm one of them. So I appreciate you for being here with me. I'm very excited to see what you got to do in your future as far as professional wrestling thing makes. Like I said, the sky's the limit with you. You got a lot of people doing for you. Again, thank you for sharing this little bit of time with me. We'll do this again in like a year or two, and
oh yeah,
you'll have a lot more road stories, and we'll talk about them all, dude. Again, I appreciate it, Ray. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for having me on.
Man, later, dude. That was Ray, Type 1 Warrior, Switek. I'm Rocket McSweets. This has been the Sweet Spot. Thank you for joining us here on the Shady Sports Network. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with a little bit of brand action. Again, thank you for supporting the channel. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, do all that thing. You got all the social medias. See y'all later.
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the high five strangers got. Game-winning interception. First down. Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.